So the Love is Blind reunion happened, and it was a bit of a train wreck. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite Elderberry Swag for Life, and thank you for joining me today. I always like to start off my videos by saying, if you like what I have to say, please hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. So, if you follow me on TikTok, then you know what this video is about. I am obsessed with a Netflix show called Love is Blind. Now, if you don't know what Love is Blind is, the premise is this. When you're dating somebody, you like certain physical attributes, and there's always outside forces that, can either draw you together or push you apart. But what if you could connect with somebody on a deeper level? And that's what Love and Blind attempts to do. So what they do is they match up couples who don't see each other. So basically what they do is they talk. They're separated by a wall, and they basically talk to each other. They don't know what each other looks like, no idea of who it is they're talking to. They don't know what race they're talking to. They don't know whether they're blonde or brunette, whether they're fat or skinny, tall, short. They just don't have any idea of who they're talking to. And it's meant to see if you can connect on a deeper level. And then if the couples decide that, they've met somebody that they want to pursue on a more deeper level, then they propose to each other. Sight unseen. They still have not seen each other. And if they agree to get married, then they finally get to meet for the first time. And that's always very interesting because sometimes, they're pleasantly surprised, and sometimes they're like, okay, not typically what I would go for, but that's basically what the show is set up to do because, we all have a certain type, or at least some of us do. And what if your soulmate isn't who you typically are drawn to? And that's the premise of the show. So they meet, and then they basically play house for a few weeks. And at the end of the experiment, they actually have a wedding. And at the wedding, they can decide whether they are actually going to go ahead and get married, or if they're just like, no, this is not working out like I thought it would. And so that's the premise of Love is Blind. So it's been on for 4 seasons. This was season 4 that just ended, and they had a reunion show. So let's talk about this reunion show. Well, I guess before I get into the reunion show, let's talk about the couples. So the couples are Tiffany and Brett, who I absolutely adore. I love Tiffany and Brett. They are such a great couple. Then there's Kwame and Chelsea. I'll talk more about Kwame and Chelsea. There is Micah and Paul. There is Zach and Irina, which then becomes Zach and Bliss. More about that later. And finally, there's Jacqueline and Marshall. So, those are the couples that decided they want to pursue each other. Now, I guess I should say Jacqueline and Marshall, they didn't even make it to the weddings. Jacqueline got, I don't know, something happened with her, and she decided she really didn't want to move forward with Marshall. The sad part about it is when they're getting fitted for their dresses and for their suits for their wedding, Brett receives a call from Tiffany basically saying like, Jacqueline is not here. And that's how Marshall finds out that, she doesn't want to marry him, which was really kind of cruel. So Jacqueline ends up, she connected with somebody else in the pods, and that was Josh. And so Jacqueline and Josh decided they were going to be a couple. Oh, and I guess I also forgot to mention that now Zach had originally proposed to Irina, but when they were meeting in Mexico, it was kind of clear that they weren't going to make it. She was not having it. She was kind of mean to him, and so he just decided, yeah, this is not going to work out. So they end up breaking up, and when they get back to Seattle, he decides to reach out to Bliss, who he was kind of between the two of them, but he broke up with Bliss to be with Irina, and now he's like crawling back on his hands and knees to be back with Bliss. She says, I'll have to think about it, but eventually he proposes to her, and she says yes. So they ended up getting married. So the reunion normally happens after the show is over, and it basically brings all the couples back so they can kind of talk about who's still together, their ups, their downs, what have you. But this reunion was really very special for a lot of reasons. Because first off, for some reason, Netflix decided they wanted to do this live. We still don't know why they decided to do it live. There are some speculations going around as to why they decided to do it live, but they decided, they were going to make this a live reunion, something that they've never done before. So I was in, because I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to see who was still going to be married, who may have called it quits, and kind of get some more details on some of the drama that happened on the show. So like I said, they said they were going to do a live show, and it was supposed to be live. This was going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday. So I like I said, I was going to watch it. And so I started to try to pull it up. I said, about 7:45, I said, let me just kind of check the page and see, because I didn't want it to be late. And, it said that, it was live now. So I was like, okay, great. Let me go ahead and click on it. So I clicked on it, and I got this error message saying, we can't pull up this title right now. And it happens sometimes. So I was like, okay, no worries. I'll try it again. And again. And again. And again. And again. So now I'm starting to panic, because I'm thinking like, well, why is it not pulling up? What's going on? So I contacted a friend of mine who was going to be watching it too. And he kind of said he was having some problems too getting it up. So, of course, the first thing I decided to do was run to Twitter, because of course that's what everybody does in this kind of situation. Turns out lots of people were having problems pulling this up. They were, all kind of tweets saying, like, let me in, what's going on? It was just, people were panicking, because they were like, look, you touted this live event that's supposed to start at 8. Here it is approaching 8 o'clock, and a lot of people can't seem to actually start streaming it. So I kept trying. I even tried different devices. I have a Roku, I have a Android Shield. So I tried different devices to try to get this show to come up. Nothing was working. I was panicking. I then went to my phone, and I tried it on my phone. And then finally I got in on my phone. But I'm like, I don't want to watch this on my phone. I want to watch it, on TV. So I kept trying to get through it on my TV. So finally, I think maybe like right around 8 o'clock when my TV was, my streaming device let me in. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm in, I'm good to go. Or so I thought, because then we're all just sitting here and we're just waiting for, okay, the live event is going to start soon. The live event's going to start soon. The live event's going to start soon. And I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, okay, it's 8:05. Okay. It's 8:10. Okay. It's 8:15. I'm like, okay, now what's going on? So of course, run back to Twitter, and everybody's like, okay, we're in now. And I think part of me said, well, maybe they're just kind of waiting a little bit, because clearly people were having problems getting in to see this event. So I said maybe they're just delaying it to give people more time to try to get into it, so that everybody can watch it that wants to watch it. So I said, okay, fine. So I'm waiting. Then the message changed to, oh, we're having a little technical difficulty here, but don't you worry, we're gonna start streaming soon. So of course I go back to Twitter, and again, Twitter does not disappoint. I'm sitting here laughing at like all the tweets of people making jokes about, you know, how this was botched, how like how did Twitter not, or how did Netflix not know that like this was gonna maybe overload their servers or something like that. It got so bad, other like brands started to chime in. I think I saw one from Blockbuster saying, remember VHS and you didn't have this problem, you know, you could always start it whenever you wanted to. It's like, oh, good times, you know. It was just hilarious. The brands were piling on to Netflix. I think Redbox got involved. I can't think of them all, but I'm telling you, I was entertained beyond belief. It was just hilarious how badly this thing went. I saw all kind of tweets, and you know, even Netflix was kind of like saying like, "Oh, well, don't you worry, you know, it's gonna be worth the wait. It's gonna be worth the wait." And this lasted for about an hour. It probably was about 9 o'clock, I think. So an hour late, which was funny because a lot of people said, "Oh well, you know, I'm out. I'm gonna watch Succession. I know that's gonna start on time. This is ridiculous. I'll just wait for it to be rebroadcast or something like that." So maybe that was part of the deal. I'm not sure, but so finally, after this whole debacle, the show actually starts. And like I said, I think it was right around 9 o'clock when it started, maybe a little bit after 9 or before 9. I'm not sure, but finally, after this long wait, the show finally starts. So let's get into some other problems that this reunion had. So I think the number one problem that people were having with the show were the hosts. So it was Nick and Vanessa Lachey, and they've always hosted this show, so you know that's not surprising. But as live hosts, they are terrible. They are absolutely the worst. Because I don't know, Nick, but Vanessa doesn't know what she's doing. Like Vanessa, I think likes trying to come across as like she's a good interviewer, but she's a terrible interviewer. Like she likes to cut people off. She kind of, it's clear that she has her favorites and you know not her favorites, and sometimes the way she questions people or the way she kind of throws gotcha questions out there, it's clear that like she's got an agenda, and there's like certain people that she's rooting for, and there's other people that she wants to see their demise. um but you know, there, like I said, there were a lot of problems with this show. Now let's talk about Tiffany and Brett. Now again, I love Tiffany and Brett. I really feel like their story was the best out of all the couples. You know, poor Tiffany, when Brett decided he wanted to propose to her, she kind of fell asleep on him, and he was like, "Oh, I'm done. I'm not gonna do it." But you know, love prevails. He decides that he still wants to marry her, and I love this story. I was so happy for them. And the problem that I had with the reunion is I really feel like their story was kind of overlooked. Like, I don't feel like they spent enough time talking about like their whirlwind romance. It felt lacking. It felt like, you know, it wasn't giving the full attention that it deserved. To be honest with you, and again, this is part of Vanessa's doing. I felt like they spent too much time picking on Tiffany about her falling asleep on Brett than actually like their story. So didn't like that at all. And again, I just feel like Vanessa's not really the best host for this type of situation, because it just seemed like she just likes poking fun at people or exploiting some of the mishaps on the show. So then they go to Kwame and Chelsea. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really didn't think Kwame was gonna say yes to Chelsea because, and of course, it's probably by design that the show did this. But the way the show was edited, Kwame seemed to like always be complaining about how he was giving up everything for Chelsea. Chelsea had it easy. Chelsea's got a dog and Chelsea's got family and Chelsea's got all this stuff and I'm doing all this and I'm taking care of the dog and I'm picking up my life for her and she doesn't have to do anything. And so I really was surprised that they got married, but they said they got married and they seem to be happy. That's the way it was portrayed. Now, one thing that they did bring up about their situation was that Kwame initially on the show had said that he wanted to marry Micah. But Micah and Paul had decided that they were going to move forward with each other. So, Micah was quick to tell Kwame, like, yeah, we're not moving forward together. I wish you luck. And he seemed to be really upset by that fact. So when they finally all met, so when they all meet, they all like vacation together initially. And so, Kwame saw Micah for the first time. And of course, Kwame was like, oh, wow, she's stunning. I think there was a part of him that's kind of like, I kind of missed the boat on that one because that's definitely the kind that I go for. And so the two of them were caught talking to each other and Chelsea found it to be inappropriate. So Chelsea got mad. Some of the other girls there were like, oh, that's your man over there talking to Micah. You gonna do something about that? So, there was this thing about, whether Kwame maybe had regrets on picking Chelsea and not moving forward with Micah. So they kind of played that up too. And there was this clip of like Chelsea and Micah, they were walking their dogs. And so they had a conversation about that situation. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you watch that clip seems staged. Like, it seems like it was an afterthought. It seems like, oh, let's get you two together and let's film this so that we can have it for the reading show. There's just something about that clip, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the way that it's shot, but it just seems out of place to me. It seems like y'all really didn't record this during the show. Y'all waited till the reunion to decide, hey, let's do this real quick. So something about that clip just seems off to me, but I can't prove it, but that's the way it feels to me. So then, Kwame goes on to say like, well, I need to apologize. I need to apologize to my wife. I need to apologize to Chelsea's family. And I need to apologize to everybody who believed in us. That last apology you could have left out, buddy, but that's okay. Now there's something else I need to mention here real quick. So, like I said, there was a live broadcast, but then Netflix said they were going to, put it back out there. But I'm pretty sure that they edited the rebroadcast because there were some things that I noticed in the rebroadcast that wasn't on the live. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. I hate that I can't see that now because I really want to get refreshed on that situation. But I do want to talk about one other thing with Kwame, and that's this thing about his name being Alex. So during the original show, he had mentioned that when he would go on dates, he would go by Alex rather than Kwame because he felt like, people wouldn't give him a chance if he met the family and stuff if his name was Kwame. He said he didn't want to be put into a box. Dude, you're black. Like, you can change your name to whatever you want to change it to. When you meet the parents, they're going to see Kwame. They're not going to see Alex. They're going to see Kwame. So there was this whole thing about his name that really, it bothered me. It bothered me a lot because I'm just going to be honest, and I hope nobody's offended by what I'm about to say. But clearly, Kwame has a thing for white women. I'm just going to put it out there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I feel like for him to make the statement of like, I felt like I needed to change my name because otherwise, these girls' families wouldn't give me the time of day. If you're dating a girl and she's black and the family's black, they ain't gonna care whether your name is Kwame or Alex. So I kind of feel like that kind of clued me in on like, okay, clearly he has a type, and his type ain't him. It's white women. Now again, I know that's a thing with some people, and if that's his thing, that's his thing. But Kwame, come on. So there was this whole thing about him saying that like he felt like people were saying that he wasn't proud of his name because he had said that he wanted to go by Alex at one point. And he got on the show talking about how I'm very proud of my name. My name is and during their wedding, she like said his entire name. It's a long name, but she threw Alex in there. And I just feel like, okay, the Alex thing is getting overplayed a little bit, but again, I don't like that. I don't like people who clearly look like me who seem to be embarrassed by that fact. It is what it is. I mean, I am proud of who I am, and I don't make any qualms about it. But I'm just gonna be honest with you. It felt like he wasn't proud of his name, and he did kind of change his name. And let's be honest, look at his wedding party. Like, if you go back and look at the wedding, look at his wedding party. That should tell you everything you need to know about Kwame. But anyway, I'm tired of talking about Kwame and Chelsea. It's time to move on. So let's talk about Zach and Bliss. Now, like I said, Zach had originally proposed to Irina. He and Irina weren't working out, so he went with Bliss. I'll be honest with you. This is what I said about Zach and Bliss. I had said I really kind of hope that Zach would say yes, but then Bliss would say no and say, see, now you know how it feels to be dumped. But she said yes, and so, they're okay. I didn't like Zach at first, but I am starting to like Zach a little bit more, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But so then they bring Irina out, and Irina is saying how she apologizes for the way she treated Zach, that Zach was a good guy, and they wanted to know how Zach felt about it. And Zach said, like, I feel like you basically went on the show because you were trying to be famous. Like, I just feel like you weren't there. And then they went into this segment where they showed how Micah and Irina were kind of like the mean girls, because they were showing like several scenes of them being really snarky, really kind of catty to some of the girls, some of the things that they were going through, just being mean girls. And of course, I feel like Micah kind of got a pass on how she treated some people, but they were really kind of dumping on Irina. And I don't know whether Irina was there for just to try to, it does make sense that like some people are on the show just because, they were trying to get some screen time or whatever. Because, let's be honest, these shows sometimes can lead to other shows that you're on. We've seen them before on Netflix. So, it's entirely possible that she just saw this as like an opportunity to be kind of like a reality show, regular on multiple reality shows. But whether she was she not, we don't know. But, Zach and Bliss, they were still together, and, everything seemed to be okay. So then they got to Paul and Micah, and, and again, Vanessa Lachey, being Vanessa Lachey, she really kind of went in on Paul. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think they were going to say yes. Now, what I will say about Paul and Micah is that when they were getting married, they asked Micah first whether they wanted to get married or not, and she said, I feel like I need to let Paul answer first, which I feel like was a cop-out. I feel like that was a cop-out. Now, she says, like, you don't know what I'm going through, and you don't know what was in my mind. You can say that all day long, but if you knew you wanted to marry the man, why would you say I wanted him to say it first? Like, I just feel like that's a cop out. So he said no, and he has a right to say no. He said he didn't feel like they were in a space where they could do it. He mentioned something about he felt like she wouldn't be a good mother to his children. That apparently hurt her feelings because she was like, "Oh well, I wanted to be a mom, and you know how I felt about being a mom, and for you to say that is like the worst thing you could ever say." Honestly, and somebody did bring it up. It's like I think it was Zach actually who brought it up, who said, "Mike, it just feels like you just want to just you know you want to make him pay for what he did to you." And she says she's not doing that, but I kind of feel like Zach had a good point. Like she really was trying to turn the screws on Paul, and Vanessa was helping her. Like Vanessa was kind of chiming in and kind of pressuring Paul into some stuff. So again, that's why I kind of feel like Vanessa really isn't a good host, because a host is supposed to basically just kind of move things along and try to keep people from like attacking each other, maybe kind of dig into some of the questions that um the audience would be asking. But she made it clear that like she was team Micah, and she was not giving Paul any kind of grace at all, which really kind of bothered me a lot. um so then they kind of turned their attentions to, now there was, like I said, there was another couple, Jacqueline and Marshall, but they never made it to their wedding day. Jackie decided she was going to go with Josh. So they decided they were going to speak to Josh and Jackie in a different setting. So she said they did a Zoom call like the day before, which I felt like she shouldn't have done that. Like if y'all can't be on a reunion with everybody else where you can meet and see everybody face to face, like Micah had to do, like Irina had to do, then honestly we don't really care what you had to say. And I just feel like she shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have interviewed the two of them. Um, she kind of dived into a little bit on like what it was that caused the breakup. And Jackie said basically they got into a fight, that Marshall used a derogatory term with her. Turns out she used a derogatory term with him too. Um, and then the whole ring thing. Marshall had asked for the ring back. Jackie said she wasn't giving the ring back. Um, Now, come to find out, the show actually pays for the ring, so it really wasn't Marshall. Like Marshall wasn't out any money because of Jackie keeping the ring, but he said, I felt like it was symbolic. Like that was a symbol of my love to you, and you basically threw that away, so you don't deserve that ring. And I feel like that's a decent answer. I feel like that's fair. Like if you don't want any parts of this man and he gave you a ring, he picked out a ring for you, then you shouldn't keep that ring. But she, being immature, decided she was going to keep the ring, and it is what it is. I mean, he wishes her well, but again, Vanessa was being really kind of, I feel like being a little bit heavy-handed with Marshall, and making it seem like this is all Marshall's fault, and can you understand why Jackie feels the way she feels, and do you have anything like, okay, Vanessa, let the shit go. Marshall had his heart broken on TV, and you just want to kind of just dig in a little bit deeper. So that's why I say this whole reunion really was just kind of it was a train wreck. There were just all sorts of problems with it. They really should never do another live reunion ever again. And one more thing about Vanessa that she clearly needs to stop doing is she is like on these girls about these women have only been married for like a year, and she is already like, when are y'all gonna like start having kids? Like she is dying for somebody, one of the couples, whether it be from season 1 or season 3 or whatever. She is like putting the pressure on for one of these couples to have a baby so that she can say, oh, we finally have a Love is Blind baby. Why are you doing that? Like, let these people decide when they want to. Like, they're not obligated to have a child just because you want to claim that, like, your show produced a life. Like, honestly, I just feel like Vanessa is really out of line. Maybe somebody is infertile, maybe they can't have kids, or maybe they don't want children. Did you ever think about that, Vanessa? But the fact that she keeps pressuring these couples, and she's done it on previous reunion shows, so this isn't the first time that she's done it. But it's like, at this point, people are just kind of like, okay, Vanessa, we get it. You want somebody to have a baby. Nobody's had a baby yet. Hell, they had Bartice on the show, who was on season 3 of Love Is Blind, and he didn't had a baby. Now, it wasn't with Nancy. I don't know who he had a baby with, but he has a baby. So it's like, okay, you got a baby out of Love Is Blind. Can you please stop asking these couples about when they're gonna have a baby now? Because honestly, it's a little old. I'm gonna be honest with you. I honestly kind of feel like, now if you watch the show, season 1, like, the story of all stories was Lauren and Cameron. And I mean, their story is fantastic. Like, I love their story just about as much as I love Tiffany and Brett's story. And I honestly feel like, since they were the original, the first couple, I think the most successful couple out of the entire series, I kind of feel like they know what these couples are going through, so they honestly should be the ones that host the show going forward. Whether that'll happen or not, probably not, because I'm sure the Lachey's have some sort of involvement with the show, and I'm sure they want to continue as the host. But honestly, I would love to see that happen. I would love to see Cameron and Lauren become the new host of Love Is Blind, but we'll see what happens. But that is that is basically kind of the gist of what happened on the show, the reunion show. And like I said, it was messy, but it was kind of a good messy. I hate to say that because I don't like messy TV, but this was kind of good messy TV. And maybe that's why they decided to do it live. Maybe they were kind of hoping they could kind of get people with some gotcha questions, or kind of like pin people down and not really give them time to actually think of an answer, be more kind of proactive and just like, yeah, answer this question now, and you're live, so you got to answer real quick. So I don't know if that's what they did or not. It probably was. They were hoping for some drama. I think they definitely got that. And definitely going forward, don't ever do a live reunion show, because if Netflix can't handle that extra traffic, then what is all this money we're paying Netflix going toward if it's not for better service? Because they keep going up on their prices, so y'all need to fix that, Netflix. But anyway, so that's my review of the Love Is Blind season 4 reunion show. Obviously, I'm looking forward to the next season, if there is another season, and we will see what happens. And one more thing I do want to say, one thing I will give them credit for is that this season, now if you've seen other previous seasons, all the contestants are like, they look like they should be modeled. This season, not so much. It looks like, I'm gonna be honest, and this is no offense to anybody on the show, but it seemed like they kind of just got more, not like overly attractive people, but just kind of more kind of like, you're conventionally attractive, so you're not ugly, but you'll do. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's what it kind of seems like, and I think it worked for them, because that's always kind of been a complaint of the show, is that they always have like these super attractive people. So I think we want to see kind of more regular Joes, regular Janes, different body types and things like that on the show, just to make it more interesting. But anyway, but that's all I got. That was a reunion show. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are your thoughts about it? Let me know. You can post them in the comments below, and we'll see what happens. And I might keep doing this a little bit more often. There are other shows that come on Netflix that I'm always interested in. The Circle is a good one that I like to watch. I think they're doing One called The Ultimatum. I don't know if I'm gonna watch that one or not because, well, I won't get into that, but you know, we'll see. But I might keep doing. I might do another one of these. So we'll see how it goes. But I thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. And again, like, subscribe, and come back for more. I will try to do more videos. I've been saying I'm going to try to increase my broadcasting on YouTube. So I'm really going to try to do that. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one, everybody.